What is up, Hardcore Nation? It's Hardcore Christopher here, and today I'm going to be reacting to Top 20 Worst Xbox Games of All Time, and this is, of course, by the folks over at WatchMojo.com. Make sure to go show them some love, and let's get right into this.
Hello, these are not. Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 worst Xbox games of all time. For this list, we'll be looking at the absolute worst games that have ever released on an Xbox console. That means games that have been released on Xbox, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. This list also isn't limited to exclusives either. Any and all Xbox games will be considered. Number 20, Rogue Warrior.
Didn't Mickey Rourke do the voice acting for the main character in Rogue Warrior?
The Bethesda logo usually represented a stamp of approval for some. That was certainly not the case in 2009's Rogue Warrior, and certainly not the case most recently. But anyways, in this first-person shooter, you play as Richard Machinko, a US Navy SEAL who infiltrates North Korea to disrupt their missile program.
Sounds promising.
Rogue Warrior proved promising, especially when Bethesda fired Zombie Studios for doing a crappy job and restarting the game from scratch with Rebellion development. That and the involvement of Becky Rourke, but not even Rourke's potty mouth could...
Yes. Okay, so if it looks promising and it sounds promising, the ultimate question is, where did Bethesda go wrong?
Dave, this dumpster fire of a game. The best thing we can say about it is that it's over in just 2 hours. Number 19, WWE 2K20.
I've never played 2K20, but all I've heard is that it's a glitch fest.
Sayo suplex! Just vicious. If you watch funny glitch compilations on YouTube, chances are you've seen your fair share of WWE 2K20. Hopefully that's the only interaction you've had with this game. 2K20 is the latest entry in the long-running WWE series, and the first not to be developed by Yuki's. This has got trouble written all over it, guys. There's the elimination. Even if you didn't know any...
So was Mark Henry did Mark Henry turn into like Stretch Armstrong? I mean, we all saw Mark. We all saw the guy so pretty much slam him over the top rope. Mark Henry is Stretch Armstrong confirmed?
Anything about the game's development, the change in developers is more than evident. The game is a complete disaster in every sense of the word, from its horrendous physics to the mind-boggling amount of bugs and glitches. The game is what...
Kurt Angle's having a seizure. Somebody help it.
...fully underdeveloped, and its laughable reputation was a major reason for the cancellation of 2K21. Red going to use her briefcase to put an end to this brawl! Number 18, The Walking Dead Survival Instinct.
It's not as good as the Telltale series, but I honestly thought watching videos on YouTube about this, it was a decent game.
The Walking Dead could do no wrong in 2013. The TV show was the most popular drama in the world, aside from maybe Game of Thrones, and everyone was still reeling from the incredible Telltale game. But Survival Instinct was like a zombified shell of the Walking Dead franchise. looked and played much like a game from 2004, and it absolutely squandered the neat idea of a Dixon Brothers prequel. Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman disowned the game in a Reddit AMA, proving that even the franchise's most earnest devotees wanted nothing to do with it.
Baker might stay put. You just slow me down right now. The hell I would. But I was thinking of kicking my feet up.
Number 17, Kinect Sports Rivals.
Every Kinect game is bad.
Once upon a time, the team behind Kinect Sports, Rare, were responsible for some of the greatest games ever. GoldenEye, Donkey Kong Country, and Banjo-Kazooie. Yet for such a pristine developer, having Microsoft force them to make sports compilations for the Kinect felt like they had zero respect for the Rare brand name. When it's up in the air, swing to serve. Come on! Oh boy! That's a doozy! While the first two games in the series weren't anything to write home about, Rivals felt like the team didn't want to do these anymore. Not only did they miss their target as an Xbox One launch title, but some movements didn't register properly, which could lead to frustration. It was not the killer app that the Xbox One so desperately needed, and it resulted in layoffs at Rare. Spare! Number 16, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006.
This one, even though I like Sonic the Hedgehog, I like Sonic and Knuckles, I like Sonic Heroes. Heck, I can even say I like parts of Sonic Unleashed. But Sonic 06, what on earth? Was the game ever tested?
Sonic 06 is historic, just not in a good way. By this point, everyone knows the story about this utter failure that was Sonic 2006. We've even done a full video on the topic which you should go check out. But for the Clip Notes versions, it was developed to commemorate the series' 15th anniversary, and was meant to both honour the series' legacy and launch it into the future. Unfortunately, the development was marred by Sega's decision to split the team to focus on Sonic and the Secret Rings, and the rushed development to secure a holiday release. This all meant that Sonic 06 was both woefully incomplete and incredibly disappointing.
It's been a while, my dear Rouge. And of course, Shadow. Now, if you'd be so kind as to hand back the Scepter of Darkness you took from me.
Number 15, Pimp My Ride.
Okay. First and foremost, I got some more things to say about Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 edition. The first thing I gotta say is that if Sonic Team was rushing... they split the team to focus on Sonic and the Secret Rings, which, by the way, I've actually played that, and I've also played, Sonic and Knights of the Round Table. No, Sonic and the Black Knight. Or something like that. And I gotta say, both of them sucked. And as far as Pimp My Ride goes, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Back in the mid-2000s, rapper Exhibit hosted a show on MTV called Pimp My Ride. It saw West Coast Customs and Galpin Autosports restoring and customizing crappy old beaters. Now, do we really need an entire video game centered around customizing vehicles? Well, not really. That's why Pimp My Ride decided to take a different approach. Rather than customizing cars, the game mostly revolved around silly mini-games and street racing. However, the driving mechanics were outrageously bad, and the mini-games were shallow and boring. The show was never asking to be translated into a video game, and the fact that this is what we got is somehow even more offensive.
And you only got so long to get that ride looking sick, so don't waste no time.
I get to make treats that make all the people in the neighborhood happy. So I pretty much have the best job in the world.
You know how these things start. You try Wendy's buy one, get one $4 breakfast offer. Love it and tell a friend. Then they tell a friend. And so on, and so on, and so on. So get to Wendy's and get some breakfast.
Number 14, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5.
I actually played some of the early Tony Hawk games on the PS2, and, well, over at a friend's house, and one of my friends had PS2s. And they were good. How do you mess up a Tony Hawk Pro Skater? Tell me.
This is the video game equivalent of an aging athlete coming out of retirement to show the new kids how it's done, only to embarrass themselves and prove the virtues of retirement. Once upon a time, the Tony Hawk series was the name in gaming. The main series went on hiatus in 2007 following Proving Ground, and Pro Skater 5 looked to reinvigorate the franchise for a new generation. It did the exact opposite. The game was rushed out due to an expiring licensing deal between Tony Hawk and Activision, resulting in a truly appalling product. Time to hit the remaster button and see if nostalgia can save this franchise from a train wreck. Number 13, Super Knight Riders.
Wait. You're telling me that's on an Xbox console? It looks like Rad Racer! Just with motorcycles!
This is an arcade title for the Xbox One, but it's easily among the cheapest and dullest arcade titles out there. Super Knight Rider stands out. The game claims to be a throwback to retro racing games of old, but we'd rather play a 20-year-old game than this mess. It's marred by persistent frame rate issues and is woefully lacking in content. The gameplay itself is also super frustrating, and not in the challenging Dark Souls kind of way. More in the, this game sucks kind of way. Number 12, Kabuki Warriors.
I've never heard of this.
The Xbox's debut was an interesting time indeed, especially for its launch titles. On November 15, 2001, the Xbox launched with Halo Combat Evolved, a game that single-handedly changed first-person shooters and maybe even the video game art form forever. 4 days later, Kabuki Warriors was released. You don't remember that for a reason. The game was widely panned by critics, with many highlighting its pitiful graphics and the fact that there was only one attack button. The only thing this game is good for is appearing on worst of all time lists. Number 11, Amy.
We're already at number 11. And Amy. Oh yeah, I saw that game be played on, I think, Twitch. A long time ago. Or maybe I saw it in YouTube videos of somebody playing it. Not much to say. Story kind of sucked. From what I remember,
Amy was doomed from the start. It tasks you with remaining physically close to an immune child during a zombie outbreak, meaning the game is essentially one long escort mission. Think the Ashley sections from Resident Evil 4, only it's the whole game, and it's 50 times more frustrating. Even ignoring the game's bafflingly stupid concept, the confounding gameplay, infuriating controls, and the general lack of polish made clear it was a poorly produced and developed video game. Amy was not only boring, but infuriating. It's a great example of a horrible premise made even worse by incompetent game design. Number 10. Aliens Colonial Marines.
yes, yes, yes.
My dad applied a lot of pressure to big industry. You lobbied against powerful people. Were you ever threatened?
I have nothing more to say about Aliens Colonial Marines. It blows. It sucks, okay?
Hype was high for Aliens Colonial Marines. It was an official sequel of one of the most popular titles and acclaimed action movies of all time, and both Lance Hendrickson and Michael Biehn were reprising their roles as Bishop and Hicks, respectively. Unfortunately, the game suffered from a tumultuous development process, and it turned out uglier than the iconic Xenomorphs themselves. It was marred by technical problems that made playing it a chore, and even when the game was working right, players were forced to contend with atrocious AI and eye-bleeding graphics. It was a disappointment for the ages, and a major stain on Gearbox's reputation.
Stop it! Just let's get back to operations, alright? God damn it, you two!
Number 9. Rambo, the video game.
How on earth do you mess up Rambo?
It's frankly amazing to us that there hasn't been a great and widely popular Rambo video game. The franchise is practically begging for one. Unfortunately, what we got instead is a rail shooter straight out of 1997. And this was released in 2014.
Okay, that's out.
Light gun rail shooters have their place in history, but the gaming world has long moved on from this genre. And while we wouldn't say no to a light gun Rambo game, we do say no to the game's obvious lack of polish and basic game design. It's a cheap game with horrible mechanics and production values. They didn't even get Sly Stallone to reprise his role, they just reused dialogue from the movies. Let's blow it up with an explosive arrow and be done with it.
My dream for JR's barbecue is that it's still that old neighborhood spot 50 more years from now. Wendy's famous 4 for $4 is heating up with the new Spicy Crispy Chicken Sandwich. And yes, you can get it with spicy fries and a drink, all for just $4. Is it getting hot in here? Or did the Queen of Spice just deliver the hottest deal in fast food?
Number 8. Bomberman Act Zero. Act Zero is not what fans of the cartoony and colourful Bomberman series was expecting. Being different is okay, and we respect Hutchinson for trying something new. But sometimes you veer too far into new and lose sight of what made the series so successful in the first place. But it's not just the major shift in style that proved to be a problem. The game
Bomber games were fun. Not this one.
contained excruciating load times, dull and repetitive graphics, and abhorrent artificial intelligence. If you undergo a major stylistic shift, you should at least ensure the game is, good. Act Zero was neither expected, wanted, or good. Number 7, Fast and Furious Showdown. Fast and Furious is one of those exceptionally rare franchises that just keeps getting better as it goes. Fast 5 was a monumental improvement over Fast and Furious 6 ensured that 5 wasn't just a fluke. Bridging the gap is Showdown, which is arguably the worst licensed game ever released, and that's truly saying something. There is nothing redeemable about this despicable title. It's ugly, it's poorly.
I like the Fast and Furious. I've never heard of this game though. And I think that's with good reason.
Design, it doesn't play well, and it's hard to gold to charge even more than $10. It's an absolute shame this excellent movie franchise had this as a video game tie-in. Number 6, Batman Dark Tomorrow.
Everything I've heard about this game says this sucks.
Dark Tomorrow proved to be an ambitious Batman title unlike any other. It was originally envisioned as a GameCube exclusive that would contain free roaming and open-ended gameplay, Arkham style, before Arkham was even a thing. The result was very much, well, not that. Rather than open-ended gameplay, the game consisted of linear stealth-based missions that were severely hampered by nonsensical controls and a frustrating camera. Seriously, is there anything more frustrating in a game than a horrible camera? Combine that with the flaws of a generally lackluster game design and a boring combat system, and you have a game that even the Cape Crusader...
Why is it when Batman takes damage, he just decides to go down for a 1 to 2 second nap?
would want to seal away for eternity. Also, that is the worst Joker I have ever heard.
Pshaw! Child's play! I could do it every day of the week before breakfast!
No! That doesn't even sound like Joker!
But you didn't.
Number 5, Vital Within.
I've never heard of this.
You have to give Microsoft credit. They really tried with Kinect. It just was a waste of technology that...
That's the reason! It's a Kinect title!
anyone wanted. That and the games were crap. Case in point, Vital Within. Microsoft really messed up by launching the Xbox One with Vital Within, and it's generally thought to be one of the worst video games ever made. It was absolutely tarnished by critics and general Xbox players alike, with most focusing on the game's unnecessary story, the shallow fighting mechanics, and the atrocious and often unresponsive motion controls. The Kinect was one of gaming's biggest failures, and games like this are a large reason behind its flopping. Number 4, Drake of the 99 Dragons. Developer IdleFX had big plans for this IP. If the game did well, they planned to launch it series.
I think... and don't quote me on this, but I think that James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, has done a video on this.
There's a comic books and an animated television series to continue the story of the undead Drake and his 99 dragons. Unfortunately, the game did not do well. In fact, it was critically reviled. Nearly every aspect of the game's production was criticized, primarily the obtuse aiming system and unresponsive camera. But that's not all. There's also the laughable voice acting, use of stock sound effects, and the amateurish production values. It's the lowest rated Xbox game on Metacritic, and it's really not hard to see why.
One thing remains the same. There's me in the air. Scranton is a long way from Wall Street. You won't find skyscrapers or big city bankers. Just hard-working people.
We live with AT&T, and we are well past the honeymoon phase. Occupado, Tom. AT&T, what's this I hear about you having a 100% fiber network?
Only like a fraction of my customers can get that.
Stop living with AT&T. Switch to Xfinity today.
And we need a president who will build back better.
Get 3 months of Disney Plus on every Chromebook. Like this one right here. Switch to Chromebook.
It's so thin, crispy.
Number 3, Steel Battalion Heavy Armor.
Another Kinect title. Why am I not surprised? Is Kinect Star Wars gonna be on here too?
The Kinect was so bad that it even brought From Software to its knees. Yes, that From Software. Heavy Armor was the third installment in the Steel Battalion series, a series that was infamous for being bundled with a gigantic controller with lots of buttons, and Heavy Armor tried to work around the need for this expensive peripheral by instead having the player use the Kinect and the Xbox 360 controller at the same time, and the results were as disastrous as you think. While most critics agreed that it was a solidly crafted and produced video game, the uncooperative motion controls were unanimously vilified. A pretty game is a pretty game, but it doesn't mean much if you literally can't play it.
Hey, bud.
Number 2, Aquaman, Battle for Atlantis.
An Aquaman game. Seriously? I'm sorry, I could never take Aquaman seriously.
Aquaman has long remained the laughingstock in the video game industry, and it may in fact be the second worst superhero video game ever made. It's a prime example of uninspired game design, as every aspect of its production was seemingly handled without care, or a budget. We don't know which is worse. It was often compared to the atrocity that is Superman 64, and while it may not be that bad, it's certainly not far off. It also didn't help that at the time, Aquaman himself was seen as a joke of a superhero. Put it all together, and you have a video game that attracted and intrigued absolutely no one. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few dishonorable mentions. Crimson Dragon.
Never heard of.
Leisure Suit Larry, box office bust.
I've heard of it. Never played it, but according to what I understand about it, Larry's Bust was a perfect title, because this did bust, and it busted horribly.
Want more video game content? Check out our gaming channel Mojo Plays and discover games and ideas you never knew existed. With more lists, breakdowns, and our latest series, Arcade Roulette. Justin and John are in! Oh. Hey, is that Porky Pig? There's a lot of things being ripped off in this game.
Number 1, Ride to Hell Retribution.
Oh yeah, yeah. How can I not forget Ride to Hell Retribution? I've never played this game, but from what I saw on YouTube, it is absolutely, positively, unequivocally. Yes, I know I used a lot of big words,
Well, it turns out this paper is really just...
but I said all that to say this. Ride to Hell Retribution. There was no redeeming this. In fact, I think somebody needs to chuck it. I think everybody needs to take their copy of Ride to Hell Retribution and burn it.
The worst Xbox game of all time has to be Ride to Hell Retribution, aka 2013's biggest gaming meme. This game was just offensively bad, and we mean offensively bad. It contains all the cornerstones of a truly horrendous video game, including bad graphics, controls, gameplay, voice acting, AI, glitches, you know, the works.
Watch out! It's dangerous!
However, it also earned criticism for its misogynistic portrayal of video game characters, all of whom are subjected to incredibly awkward dry humping scenes. It was eventually delisted from Steam, which is probably for the best. The sooner we forget this game even existed, the sooner we will find true happiness.
Did you hurt him?
He did mention something about needing a long nap.
Now.
That voice doesn't even sound like it matched the character at all.
Show you what a mechanic can really do.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
I get to bake treats that make all the people in the neighborhood happy. So I pretty much have the best job in the world.
Everyone says I should fight my cravings. No. You know what I do? I snack on Blue Diamond Almonds. Oh, come on. Sriracha?
Alright, guys. That was my reaction to the top 20 worst Xbox games of all time. And this, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this was made possible by the fine folks at WatchMojo.com. Make sure to go show them some love. And as for me, don't forget to like, because it really helps me out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because if you're not notified, you'll never know when I upload a video, which is once a day on the usual. And don't forget to make your opinions be known down in the comments section below, because I love hearing from all you beautiful people. I'm Hardcore Christopher. Keep it hardcore, everyone.